everyone, welcome back to the channel, Cobalt Mood. It is day 2 of the marathon and I currently don't want to run a marathon. I did end up picking up groceries with lots of different options for energy drinks that I haven't ever tried, so I have given myself the tools to be able to keep going. It's not looking good that already day 2 I'm like, no thank you. But this is the life I have chosen, so we must make it work. All right, so yesterday I did end up editing the video before I left and packed my orders, so I dropped them off once I left. I was able to leave around 2, so not great, didn't give myself a lot of time to source, was not really in the mood to source once I left, so I did end up choosing a thrift that was furthest away from my house, and then I just worked backwards. So that sometimes can be the reward. Okay, so I ended up choosing a thrift that I hadn't been to, but I kept driving past. It's like a permanent structure that like funds a church, I think. And online, it looked like they had a wall of plush. So I was like, oh, this could be a hidden gem. And I went into my first one and it was all clothing. And I was like, okay, I guess they didn't update their photos online. I will definitely mark this one off as do not come back. And then as I was leaving, the guy who parked next to me was walking into the other building that looked just like the building I was in, but like across the street. It was like a parking lot, so it was like 2 structures. Anyways, I kind of followed him in there being like, don't know what I'm going to find. Apparently, they separate the hard goods from the clothing. So the second store was all hard goods, and that was pretty cool. It definitely looked like a garage sale. Like, it just looked like it came straight from somebody's house. It felt like they just like took what they could to make shelves. Like, it did not feel like a thrift store. And it was like carpeted. It was just kind of weird. Anyways, found my way to the plush. It was definitely gross. I definitely like put my finger in something questionable, but I just told myself it was makeup and I kept it pushing. But yeah, most of the plush I felt like had been there a while, crusty, had holes in it. No, I don't like that stuff. But on the floor in the corner, kind of like tucked under some toys, was a lot of Douglas stuff in actually pretty good condition. The Wi-Fi not available, and they were on the smaller size, but I thought, small still sells. Not going to make a habit of it, but because this week's just a unique one, I'll pick them up. For example, and the Douglas was in actually good condition. I picked up this cat that I have never seen before. I thought it was pretty unique. It has that, airbrush that we've talked about to make it look more realistic. It's not dirty. It is part of the painting of the blush. So yeah, I picked up this guy, looked it up once I was in my next store. I paid $3 for it. This is like a $10, $15 toy, unfortunately. Even though I have never seen it, apparently it's more of the common one. So, that one is going to end up being a extra credit item. And then from there, I went to my next store and just started the route. So in total, I ended up picking up 38 items. Definitely didn't think I was going to hit my goal yesterday because the first few stores were pretty barren. I was walking out with like 3-4 items at a time. It was like really, really hot yesterday, so I definitely felt like I was getting a workout in. And then, of course, the weather turned on me, and near the end of the route, I was pushing up right to when stores were going to close. It started like thundering, but like no rain yet. So my Wi-Fi got really spotty in the stores, which is what I use to look up my items to see if they're good for my store. So anyways, because of the weird Wi-Fi, I figured, let me go to that one store that I really like that has really crappy Wi-Fi, and I have to pick blind. I basically had 2, potentially 3 stores I could hit before 8 o'clock when most of the stores close in my area, if I really was fast. So I went to the store that I like that doesn't have good Wi-Fi, and I only had, they close at 7. and I got there at like 6:40-ish, I want to say. So I like sped through those aisles. Luckily, I did run into a few plush items that I have sold before, so that was nice. Instant yes. And then some other ones that I was on the fence on. Like, for example, there's this brand called KM International. I'm pretty sure they're a vintage brand. I don't think they're around anymore. But they sold a lot of these Audubon birds. And the birds that they sold, they look realistic. They have like a voice box in it. And they're like sewn in, so there's not a way to correct a dying one. Usually I do get dying birds that are like, it's just like, I'm just like laugh every time. Anyways, I had done a deep dive on these birds, and I know that some of them do sell for like $200 to $300, but I have not memorized what bird type is the $200 to $300 ones. So I picked up a few. They were like $1, $2 each. So low risk, but yeah, ended up being, again, under my metric and are now extra credit. So I separated it all out this morning. I had 14 that ended up being my quote unquote extra credit. And these are the ones that fall under my new metric this week of $30 ASP. And so that means I got exactly 24 items. I had about 45 minutes left till 8, and I did decide to go to one more store that I know has a lot of plush selection. Like, before I got to my second to last store, I needed 6 more items. And I was not confident that of the like 2 bags I got from my picking blind store that I actually got 6 good ones. I was like definitely 3, but wasn't sure. I didn't want to be short, knowing that I had time left in the day to make it work. So went to my last store, finished the mission. I knew for sure there. Again, didn't have Wi-Fi though because of the thunderstorms. I had 45 minutes to get through everything, and I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep picking blind. At this point, I was very tired as well. And yeah, I want to kind of show you the ones that I picked. Also because I want to show you guys like what I've leaned into to pick up vintage plush. I think like my coach calls it the indicator of value. So first off, before you get to the old stuff, this is my favorite find of the trip. I was looking at hats in this store. Some hats are by the backpacks, and I saw this from up top. It was like on the very bottom row, and I was like, ooh, what's that? And it was a Naruto backpack from the ramen shop. And yeah, it was in great condition. It is similar to the box lunch backpacks that usually go for like $40 to $60. And when I researched this, once I got home, I wrote it down. This one pre-owned is anywhere from $40 to $80. I'll have to find room for this in my squirrel shelf, which, you know, is continuing to squirrel, but such is life. Okay, so now the old ones. I picked up this really cute character. It has this like rope tail pom-pom. I immediately was like, this is vintage. I don't know what it is, but it's very cute. I found out that this character is from a cartoon series from the 80s called Popples. And this character is called Potato Chip. So Potato Chip I kept seeing in the listings. People were saying Potato Chip Yellow. And I was like, that's a weird way to describe yellow. And then I realized, okay, that's the character's name. The tag did say 1985 American Greetings Company by Mattel. For indicators of value, the plastic eyes is very characteristics of 80s and 90s toys. Maybe older as well, but definitely 80s and 90s. That kind of indicates to me it might be a bit older. Obviously, the tag helps confirm that, but yeah, plastic eyes is what I look for. And just, you know, general texture of the character. Like, this is still soft, but it is a bit, you know, like the hair here is a bit matted. So yeah, just showing me maybe age related. Potato Chip goes for between $30 to $50. All right. And the last one I picked up, I feel like it kind of comes full circle, is Chucky from Chuck E. Cheese. He does not have a tag on him. But you know, with the age of this item, I'm like, I don't think this has been faked. He does have the plastic eyes, and yeah, just, you know, it seems in pretty decent condition. And the funny thing with Chucky is the only reason I grabbed him was because I remembered back to that weird guy I met in a thrift, like at least a month and a half ago now. That guy who, like, remember, for anybody who's been following, you'll know the story. He was a plush seller as well. He put his whole cart back on the shelf. And so when he left, I went and comped his items, ended up grabbing like 90% of them, and then just kept looking up the rest of my plush. And then he came back like 45 minutes later and I was still there because I was like new. I had to look up everything at the time. And he like awkwardly came to my cart and was like, "Oh, I can see you found something," knowing full well that I had all of his items. Anyways, long story short, after that very awkward social interaction, he showed me the only one he kept was not this character, but it was a similar age Chucky item. It was like a girl. I think the girl was like yellow or something. They have like made up characters. But anyways, he was like really proud of his Chucky thing. And I was like, cool story, bro. So anyways, I remember that dude and that awkwardness. I definitely experienced Chuck E. Cheese when I was growing up. You know, you would give them your report card. You could get maybe a free pizza or some games. Anyways, Chucky, he is early 90s. The comps were interesting. I was seeing a large difference in pricing between 30 and 60 bucks. And what I learned was the Blue Feet, which is the one I have, is considered early 90s. And that one goes for about 60 bucks. There's a one that looks very similar to this, but the feet are red. And those are considered later 90s. So those go for 40 to 45 bucks. So got lucky in that I got Blue Feet. And yeah, hopefully him not having a tush tag doesn't affect the price. But regardless, I probably spent, oh, it's right here. I spent $4 on him. So that's going to be a nice little flip there. All right, so it is now almost 12. So I thought I was doing good on time, but it's actually tight again. Maybe I need to like wake up at 6 a.m. I did wake up at 9 today, so probably did this to myself. But I have a hangout scheduled tonight with some friends, and I'd like to be able to come home and shower before I do that. I really don't like the feeling of hanging out with friends knowing that I need to like cut things short so I can come home and still have time to like photo list and edit the video. So I'm going to try and power through and do that now. If I'm short today, it's fine. I'll just have to make up for it tomorrow. I know I was supposed to photo last night, but after 6 hours of sourcing, I was dead and didn't want to do anything. So I didn't. So it's probably going to be realistically probably 2 again when I leave. So I'll have maybe 2 to 6 to source. That's probably what the schedule looks like today. I'm going to go to the stores that usually give me a lot of product. That's kind of going to be my shortcut today. Does not follow a thrift route, but you got to do what you got to do. So I'm just going to go hit up those stores today and screw the route. Okay, let's wrap it up. I am sending myself good vibes that I can find all of my items. So therefore tomorrow I'm not stressed by needing to find like double. I want to end it with my favorite phrase, and that's how the cookie crumbles. All right, if you know the reference, you rock. Talk to you later.